the couch out loud, roar and rave, human books with stories to share.
Yep.
Chapter 3, Struggles and Barriers. Internal struggle, conflict, contrasted internal desires through late teens and beyond. Art is a funny thing, and I've always, I used to struggle a lot more with the art versus commercialism balance. And when I did my honours thesis at uni, it was focused on that commercialism versus art, where it's difficult sometimes, particularly for punk musicians, to make money off their art. And you have that internal battle between I want to make art, I want to be true to myself, I need to pay rent and eat food, I don't like starving to death, but at the same time possibly pushing towards that anti-capitalist sort of point of view. And I think through my 20s we struggled a lot with that concept of how do I earn money without being greedy. I don't want to be this big company, but at the same time I need to be paid for what we do. And I went through working for a lot of different people, running my own business. I had a pro audio shop in Southport for a little while. I had a bigger run with my business, Serotonin Productions. We used to have some employees, and these days I've kind of scaled it back to me. And it was going through a bunch of different processes and understanding that I'm not working for my business is here to work for me. And everything that I do is here to suit me and work for me. So I take on as much work as I can handle, and then I stop. And it's about balance in life, balance between family and friends and art and passion, doing some things to earn money and doing some things just because I love them. A lot of the sculpting work that I do is not on commission. I don't like building stuff that other people like. I like going down into the garage and just building whatever comes to mind, and then trying to sell it later on or get it into festivals, which is a lot more fun and enjoyable for me. I usually draw some out of control diagram or concept drawing and then figure out how the hell I'm going to put that thing together. I don't like putting restrictions on the concept art, thinking about what I could possibly build or not build. That doesn't seem like fun to me. So I usually draw these out of control things and then figure out, how the hell is that going to hold together and actually build that.
Do you use gaffer tape at the back there? Is that what you want?
Not these days. I love welding with steel. The permanency of steel is great, and the strength behind it, very dangerous, but it's something that I have a lot of fun with. But I guess we have that same concept with music as well. We don't go in thinking how we're going to get this sound or how's it going to work. We just think what is going to be best for the art, what is best for the message and the emotion, what's going to get this song across in the right way. And it is a balance between the technical aspect of producing and also the musical and emotional aspect. I think there's a lot of psychology goes behind the talk back when I'm talking to artists in the studio and vocalists on the mic. It's difficult recording and being on the mic and singing, and so it's a balance between understanding the technical aspects and also the emotional aspects of humans and art and artists in particular, and musicians, particularly drummers, are different people to normal people.
Why is that?
Their brain just ticks a little bit differently, and I love them. I think all my really good, hug for a good 10 minutes when I see them friends are drummers and bass players. They're just, they're on a different level.
Why differently, maybe? A bit why differently?
Yeah, they're listening to life at a different rhythm. They're seeing things at a different pace to everyone else. Always lovely vegetarian chef gardeners, people that are really in touch with nature and really in touch with themselves as well. And I think that's true about all musicians. They have a really kind of friendly attitude. And here on the Gold Coast we have such a great vibrant music scene with all the artists and musicians. Venues come and go, but the artists are fantastic, and it's really sort of refreshing to go out to a venue and see 10 mates playing in a band, or someone come up and give you a hug. And I think that's so true about all the artist scenes on the Gold Coast. It's really quite involved. Chapter 3 was still struggles and barriers. Barriers that have been confronted with: peer pressure, social restrictions, personal identity. I was always very quiet at school. I'm very introverted. These days I'm kind of prefer to stay home if I can and work in my studio by myself. It takes a bit of energy for me to go out. I generally put on my suit of armour and go out the front door and get back into the real world. I always say, once you step off my property, you're on your own. Everything's safe in my house. It's a nice, loving environment for me. But I think the idea and getting up on stage has really helped get out of my shell. I remember doing public speaking at high school and terrified, going bright red in the face and just shaking and almost vomiting. I think I did throw up once. And I really got out of that through my friends, getting me up on stage. And I think once you play Big Day Out to 40,000 people, no one's watching, no one cares. And I think that was really a freeing moment. Often it's harder at the smaller venues when there's 8 to 10 people, but I think a few of those big festivals will knock that insecurity out of you on stage. And now I can't sort of wait to get back on stage with my friends. I don't know how many shows we've played. I've been to Japan 14 times. We've been overseas quite a fair bit, and a lot of festivals around Australia. Probably a good 2,000 or 3,000 live shows. I used to be in a big metal band called Noosphere about 20 years ago on the Gold Coast in Byron. We played some X Games, had a whole bunch of fun, some walk bands and tours, and we had our stuff on Pepsi bottles, and Nutrigrain packets, stream DVD things, and Channel 10. That was a little bit of an experience. I was, I think, 19, 20, blue hair. Didn't really know what was going on at the time, but I was still in touch with those friends, and it's really those older musicians that helped me kind of move through the scene and kind of really come out of my shell. These days I dive headfirst into things that scare me. If something's feeling a bit insecure about or something a bit fearful, I'm going straight for that, charging straight into that, because it's such a freeing thing to be able to let go of any of those fears and insecurities and really do what you want to do. And I think that confidence rubs off on my students and my friends as well. If something needs doing, do it tonight. Don't wait till tomorrow. If you have a dream, if you have a passion, what are you doing this afternoon? What are you doing tonight at 2 a.m.? Do you need to sleep? Stay up and do that thing that really, makes you happy, makes you passionate. I have no regrets in life with anything I've done at all. And I think every day I wake up happy because I put as much as I can into each day and do what I want to do. I think other people that are close to me would initially think that I maybe work too hard, but as I said before, I don't see any of it as work. It's all fun. I wouldn't do it if I didn't want to do it. I'd get out of it pretty quick. So these days I kind of have a lot of interests in things. I go on sort of tangents down weird things. I think the astrobiology and physics degree was a tangent that started one night when I was watching a video and didn't realise it was actually an online course. And by the end of the night I already finished 2 subjects, and so I decided to just keep going. When you have an interest and you have a passion in something, whether it's robotics or electronics or music or art or sculpting or painting, just go and do it. And some of us get a little bit carried away sometimes, but I wouldn't have life any other way. Still in chapter 3, a circumstance, person or environment that was significant in my life path and direction helped me overcome this barrier. I think recently it would have to not go too much past being unwell and in the hospital. And about 3 years ago I had some cancer issues, and I'm type 1 diabetic, and so I have insulin and a pump that I carry around with me 24/7. And it was not going well, and I was I think the stress from early 30s, going through some abusive relationships and a whole bunch of other struggles, really put me in this physically bad state. And as I was in the hospital, I wasn't sure if I was going to make it, and I'd always wanted to weld and build things with sculptures. I'd never done any sculpting. I'd always just done music. I was about 36, I think. I remember just leaving the hospital, just getting the hell out of there. Not that that's a bad place. I love being in a hospital, but I remember just getting up and after treatment and just leaving and going straight to Trade Tools and Nerang and buying a welder, going home and watching a YouTube video on welding for about 3 minutes, and went and built a giant 1.3 ton whale that is sitting in my front lawn. And I won the Environmental Awareness Award and the People's Choice Award at Swell Sculpture Festival back in 2017. It's the first thing I'd ever welded and built. That thing's got all my first welds on it. It was a ridiculous thing to make. I don't think anyone thought I could finish it. I wasn't quite sure if I was going to be able to make it as well. It almost killed me a few times. As I was going through the treatment, I had my 2 good friends, Nick and Chris from Charlie Rebel, one of my punk bands, living with me to help me through, help me pick me off the floor when I needed it, and help me with a bit of muscle with the whale. But yeah, it was a ridiculous experience. I don't think I knew what I was getting myself into when I ordered the steel. Getting in, a ton of steel dropped off in the garage, and then being able to try and go through and weld that and cut that and put that together, set myself on fire. I cut myself many times. the whale fell off the holder in the garage and landed on me, and I was trapped under it for about 6 hours one night until my friends came home. I thought I was going to die. I just had a nice conversation with the whale for about 6 hours. My phone was inside. Silly things like that. My parents are probably watching this and probably don't know that story, so sorry, Mum. Sorry, Dad. Yeah, I think, that having something to do, getting off my ass and going and doing it really helped get me through that. And, I'm completely cured and feeling 1,000 times better these days. It's a lot easier building sculptures when you're not on treatment. But a combo between that and the diabetic stuff has really been pushing me to, like I said before, not wait for anything. If you want to do something, go and do it. I always say to my students, don't wait for an invitation to a festival or a show or to be a photographer or be a painter. Go and do it. Don't wait for someone to ask you. Don't wait for an opportunity. Make the opportunity. What are you doing tonight? Not, I'll do it next week, or I should start that by watching a video. You don't need no video. You don't need uni. You don't need school. You need to get a paintbrush and you need to get a canvas and you need to start sloshing that stuff on there. We all suck when we start at anything new we do, and it just takes practice. It takes experience, and the more you work at it, the better you get at it. I really don't believe that talent exists. There's no such thing as talent. It's just experience and practice. No one's born a talented singer, I believe. I think they may have heard lots of music from their parents in the womb, and that would train them to hear a little bit better and have pitch recognition. But I think all talent is just practice. And as a musician, there's nothing more true than getting on your instrument and recording and playing and jamming it out. I've been playing bass for my punk band for about 3 years now, and I hadn't played bass before that. I think we were going to go to Japan and we had some issues with their bass player, a Cairns band, Charlie Rebel. They're down in Melbourne at the moment, trapped in their house. But yeah, their bass player quit about 2 weeks before Japan, so I learned to play bass in the first 2 weeks. And I remember the first show I ever played on bass was on this Japanese venue called Atlantics, and there was this giant Ampeg 1200 watt rig, and I did not want people really to hear that first time you ever play bass on stage. Everybody heard every wrong note and right note I played, but mohawk up, screaming from the front of the stage, it's a freeing experience, and I got progressively better. Thank you to Nick and Chris for putting up with me for the first half of the tour while I found my feet on a new instrument. But any new thing that you want to do, it just takes practice. The sculpting stuff was something that just it didn't come naturally, and everything goes wrong. Literally everything I make with sculpture goes wrong. The secret is doing it again and again. And it's that ability to kind of get back up and try things again that really makes a big difference in life. If you really have that sort of drive to be willing to fail and to try it again, that is the secret to all art and all life. I've probably failed more times than a lot of people who have started or tried, and I think that's one of the things I try and push onto my artists and my students is, you've got to be willing to fail. If you're not willing to fail, you're never going to achieve greatness. And even the recent sculpture that I've built for Swell Sculpture Festival, which is a big tribute and a thank you to the medical staff at Robina Hospital for everything they've done with me through diabetics and also through other treatments. It's a tribute to Guardians of the Gold Coast, the giant winged lifeguard tower, and it's really the medical staff, the doctors, the nurses that are our true guardians of the Gold Coast, the ones that sort of keep us safe. But the sculpture, everything went wrong. I got 2 towers that I built. The second one had to be trashed. I almost lost a finger cutting the wings off. Many broken wings. I broke 3 jigsaws, broke 2 grinders. Had to cut things off and put them back on again. I think people see the end result of our albums that are out there or awards that we've won, but they don't see the hard work that goes in behind things. And really the satisfaction for me is in the process. And that's another big secret with art for us, is just learning to love the process of what we do. I love working on an album with an artist, whether we're just sitting here and they're a 14-year-old artist that's just starting out, or if they're a Grammy Award-winning artist. It really makes no difference to me. If they're good people and they're having fun, then I'm enjoying myself. And the same with the sculpture. It's not the end result that we're looking for. It's nice to win awards, and I think when you're younger, you kind of strive for those. You think, oh, that's the pinnacle of success. And I've got a couple of ARIAs, I've got a Grammy, I've got some gold records, I've got a Gold Coast Music Award, which is probably one of my more favourites. I don't know where the other ones are, but I like the Gold Coast ones because it's local, and local art is important to me. It's something that kind of means something to me. But yeah, you get over the awards and the the gold records and the stuff after a while, and I think you learn to focus on, for me anyway, developing local artists and helping artists achieve their dreams is a big part of what I do as a producer and a manager. I think all good producers will take that source artist and material and identify what is the emotion they're trying to express. I need to see a band live on stage to really produce them well. I need to see them move around. I want to see their bedroom. I want to see the posters. I want to see their t-shirt collection. I want to see their Spotify list or CD collection. I want to know what makes them tick so I can really help them express their art to other people. And I think that's the main job as a producer is taking that art and using technical stuff, but also the emotional idea and trying to be able to reproduce that for a wider audience. And we're really trying to transfer an emotion through song, and I get the same thing through sculpture. Touch is my love language, and so I communicate better with touch, and so that's why I play piano and I play bass, I sculpt. Even on the music production, it's hands-on things. So I spend a lot of time not talking too much, which you wouldn't be able to pick out from this video. But touch is really important to me, and that's really where I make a connection and express myself with my hands and my fingers. And I think I always have with sport, and I always have with music and everything that I do, whether it's gardening and working around my house, or building some ridiculous structure at 3 a.m. because I can't sleep because I've got something in my head that I would just love to get out. But yeah, I think that idea that you just get off your ass and do it. Don't wait for the invitation. Don't wait for someone to ask you, oh, would you like to do this? You don't need a qualification or anything to do anything in this world. There's so much available on the internet. I think that sculpting stuff, when I watched a couple of YouTube videos, and when I won the Swell Sculpture Awards, I was talking to a few magazines, and I kept mentioning that I went to YT College, and very little of them picked up that I was talking about YouTube. I mentioned YT College, so they've always written in that I studied at YT College in sculpting. I watched 2 YouTube videos. A guy called Craig on YouTube who showed me how to turn on the welder, and then just went for it. I probably should have started with something small like a mailbox, but yeah, I have a 1-to-1 scale kinetic wind harp of Migaloo the white whale in my front yard at the moment. I couldn't bear selling him to anyone. But yeah, it's the world's largest steel body string harp. It's wind powered, and it plays in 3-part harmony of the whale song. And it was all built around a humpback whale song from Migaloo. And all whales sing in E major 7, and the new song, they come up from the southern oceans every year, and they harmonise with each other. And it's the only other animal in the world that has a complex song structure like humans. They have similar sort of verses and choruses. Theirs are a lot longer, sort of 15-20 minutes. But yeah, there's quite a lot of musical connection between nature and humpback whales, and I really wanted to embody that. I think all the sculptures that I've built so far are actual musical instruments. That's something I've identified recently, that I'm actually still doing music. I'm just building large, ridiculous musical instruments. I love Da Vinci, and I love machines, but I love a bit of wonder as well. It's nothing like having a giant rotating solar-powered music box that I built last year in my backyard. It's got 300 succulents on it. It's I guess you would almost call it a shrine to Poseidon, god of the sea, and I was calling on Poseidon to come and smite Adani and stop the Adani mine. It was a bit of a protest piece last year. But again, it plays music and spins around, solar powered, and it's half machine, half just ridiculous sculpture, plus half plant and alive and beauty. And I think trying to get a bit closer to narrowing down what I love by combining all these different things together. Every sculpture I make has a song behind it. So we get the people in the studio. When I made the whale, when I was going through cancer, I had about 60 local Gold Coast musicians come in and sing on this song, and we recorded the whale itself as it spun around and played the harp, and had about 60 local musicians sing on this song, which you can find on my page, or link to later. Epic, kind of big song, and it was just that kindness again of my friends coming around. I remember Tegan and a few others coming around just to thread feathers onto the whale for about 5 hours, just because I was losing my mind towards the end about all the little things. I had no idea how much would go into moving this 1.3 ton whale all the way down to Corumba, but it was quite an experience. But yeah, I think that adversity is the key there. I think you have less anxiety and worried about bigger things, small things, sorry, when bigger things happen. You know, these days, if I'm driving down the highway and my car catches on fire, I'll probably pull over and just look for, is there a dealership that I can buy another car around? Don't fuss about things, there's nearly as much. People say I'm pretty level-headed and don't stress, and I have really no need to get angry. It doesn't serve me any purpose. And so I think once you go through a few bigger things in life, all the smaller things don't seem to matter as much. You know, as long as we have each other in our lives and we love each other, everything else will get sorted out. So I think getting rid of all the anxiety and all the insecurity in my life, or probably abuse from previous relationships, has been really freeing in the past few years. And now at 40, I feel completely free to do what I love doing, which is art and music, and sharing my skills and knowledge of what I've got through this with other people through my teaching, through students and lectures at Creative Industries, and also SE in Brisbane, which is a phenomenal school up there with a great team of other staff. You know, and I think you can work anywhere if the people you work with are wonderful, and that's true with those places, that they're, you know, really helpful and kind environment to the students, and you can really see that come through in the work and everything they do. And it's the same way we run our label and our business is kindness and loving, and you know, we have contracts with our artists, but if shit's going down, we tear up a contract and have a hug and go to dinner. You know, it's not about the money for us with music, although the music industry is full of all of those sort of people. But I always used to say that I think if you're going into the music industry to make money, you're an idiot. It's literally the worst idea for any person to make money, get into the property market or anything. We do music because we love music. I couldn't imagine my life without music, and you know, I can't thank my mum enough for really having that push to get music into my life when I was younger, piano, and I think I still got her Beatles record collection and a few other bits and pieces. And I was never really that musically talented when I was younger, but I think if you're passionate and you want to do something, you go and do it. You know, I'm not the greatest musician out of my friends, but I play with passion, and I do what I love doing, and it's nothing more fun than playing with my mates, whether it's on stage in a major festival or just in our lounge room jamming, and I'm just as happy in either situation. There's less lugging and people to deal with in your lounge room these days. But that's probably my biggest personal transformation, is going through that shedding of insecurities, shedding of past anxiety and abuse. And you know, we all have anxiety, we all have insecurities. It's a natural thing. I think artists deal with it a lot more up front because we're forced to put our emotions on the platter and line it up for people. But generally speaking, it's really freeing once you are able to let go of that and see yourself for who you want to be. And I think it's my friends and my partner Lou have helped me really kind of break through and embrace that. More so in past years, I think I'd always been a little bit headstrong, but these days I feel completely free to express myself and do what I want to do. I'm terrible at drawing and I'm still learning, and so I put those things up and show my students my horrible drawings. And I think you've got to be willing to fail at stuff. You know, I think a lot of musicians and singers don't practice enough because they're scared of hitting a wrong note or singing a wrong note in their bedroom. But that's the best place to sing those wrong notes, not on stage. So you practice and rehearse. And I think if you want to do something, just get off your ass and do it. Don't need to tell the world. You don't need to post it on social media unless you want to, and that's fine too. Get out there and do it. But I did spend my 20s probably in a lot of fear and confusion about why were people doing this to me, why was someone attacking me. I think as an empath, you naturally want to help people, and you get sucked and cycled into this hole with it. And I don't think I have maybe 2 or 3 photos of myself from my 20s. I was the one taking photos, and I was never in photos. So these days, I don't mind taking a selfie if I want to. It's nice to have something to look back and remember what the hell I looked like in that decade, or you know, but just don't have any fears or concerns. I think often, particularly when you notice as an artist, people will attack your art, and you put a lot of effort into things and emotion into a song or a sculpture, and someone will try and bring you down with something, but it's generally because they've got insecurities. And as I told my students the other day, it's not about you when that person's attacking your art. It's about them and their insecurities. And once you start understanding people and understanding that, it's a much more freeing environment to be in. So I see myself as a catalyst for a lot of artists and friends, students, who kind of connect with me, the person to kind of come there and push them over the edge, get them over that hump that they need to, and give them some inspiration, either by doing it myself and showing them that anyone can do it, or by giving them a bit of confidence and helping them along the way in any way that I can. We put a lot of money back into the local music scene through my label Human Records, and again, it's not about making a profit for us, it's just about getting great art out there. I love working on music, and we're finally getting my large studio in the next year or two on the Gold Coast. It's just going to be an epic space for artists to hang out. I was thinking either that or retiring. It was one or the other, but I don't think I'd last more than a couple of days in retirement before I drove my fiance insane. So yeah, back to the big studio, and it'd be nice to have a big space to do some sculpting as well.
The couch out loud, raw and red. Human books with stories to share. Their ups and their downs, and everything in between. Pets optional is where it can be seen. I said pets optional is where it can be seen.